Could the WNBA actually face its first ever lockout? For years, the league has grown at a historic pace, rising viewership, superstar talent, and expansion teams lining up to join. But behind the scenes, a massive storm is brewing. The players want more, the owners want stability, and with the collective bargaining agreement set to expire this October, the WNBA could be headed toward a full-blown labor war. But here's the wild part. This isn't just about salaries. It's about who really controls the future of women's basketball. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why the next 60 days could make or break the league forever. Before we dive into the WNBA's unique situation, let's break down the basics. A lockout happens when league owners essentially shut down operations until a new labor deal, called a collective bargaining agreement, or CBA, is reached with the players' union. This means no games, no practices, no paychecks. Everything freezes. It's a weapon owners use to pressure players into accepting terms. On the flip side, players sometimes stage a strike to flip the script and apply pressure themselves. Here's the kicker. The WNBA has never had a lockout in its entire history. They've had tense negotiations, sure, but the season has never been stopped by a labor dispute. That's what makes this moment so historic. But why now? Why does it feel inevitable this time? Circle this date on your calendar, October 31st, 2025. That's when the WNBA's current CBA officially expires. If no deal is signed by then, the league could slam the brakes and lock players out. Think about the timing. Right after the season, right before free agency, and right as excitement is peaking around expansion. And here's the curveball. Back in 2019, players and the league extended their negotiation deadline to avoid chaos. But this time, according to insiders, there's no sense of urgency. The two sides are miles apart, and neither seems ready to blink. But what exactly are they fighting over? This isn't just about, we want more money. The players' demands are layered, emotional, and tied directly to the future of women's basketball. Players believe they deserve a bigger slice of the financial pie. Right now, the NBA and many major sports leagues have a near 50-50 revenue split with players. The WNBA? Far from it. Players argue if the league can land $50 million expansion fees, if they can negotiate new media rights deals, if jerseys are selling out, then why aren't the athletes, the ones driving this growth, sharing in that prosperity? Even top stars like Caitlin Clark, Breanna Stewart, and A'ja Wilson are making a fraction of what bench players earn in the NBA. Yes, revenue is smaller, but with the WNBA's current growth curve, players feel the salary structure hasn't kept up. And here's the kicker. Rookie contracts lock young stars into years of undervalued pay, just as they become the league's biggest draws. Sound familiar? That's exactly the kind of thing that drives unions to dig in. Then there's benefits. This one gets personal. Reproductive health care, maternity leave, travel accommodations. Players have been outspoken about everything from charter flights to fertility protections. And the truth is, many feel the league is dragging its feet on these issues. So when fans see All-Stars wearing shirts at the All-Star game saying "a fair pair" or "pay us what you owe us," those aren't empty slogans. They're battle cries. But of course, the league has its side too. From Commissioner Kathy Engelbert's perspective, the WNBA has made massive strides. She points to rising ratings on ESPN and ABC, new expansion teams coming in 2026, like Toronto and Portland, increased sponsorships from household brands. The league's message? Growth is happening, but it's fragile. If expenses like salaries skyrocket too fast, that growth could collapse. Translation: we can't give you everything right now without risking the league's long-term health. Owners and league reps also argue that revenue-sharing models don't apply cleanly to the WNBA yet. They want flexibility, not fixed percentages, while they scale. But here's the catch. What if the players don't buy that explanation? Back in 2019, the WNBPA opted out of their deal early, forcing negotiations. That led to major wins: higher salaries, better travel conditions, and improved maternity benefits. But now, 6 years later, players feel those victories didn't go far enough. The Caitlin Clark effect has supercharged attention. Jerseys are selling out, ticket prices are climbing, sponsors are pouring in. So players are asking, if the league is finally cashing in, why aren't we? And unlike in 2019, there's a new wave of young stars, Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, who bring huge mainstream attention. That changes the leverage game completely. Here's where things get really wild. The WNBA is expanding to 14 teams by 2026, with Toronto and Portland already confirmed. Other cities like Philadelphia, Cleveland, and Denver are rumored to be next. Expansion fees alone are estimated at $50 million per team. But if there's a lockout, how do you launch new franchises? How do you sell tickets, jerseys, or hype up fans if the league is frozen? It's like building a shiny new stadium, then chaining the doors shut. So both sides know, the expansion dream is at risk. And that's exactly why this standoff could turn ugly. If you head to Reddit or WNBA Twitter, you'll see fans are already bracing for impact. Some are fully behind the players. Some fans are saying, no one knows if there will be a lockout, but it does look increasingly likely. Others worry about losing momentum. It would be devastating if they locked out just as the league was finally getting national attention. And honestly, both sides are right. A lockout risks undoing years of growth, but caving too easily could leave players resentful and underpaid for another decade. This isn't just a sports story, it's a cultural story. Women athletes have been speaking out louder than ever about pay equity. From soccer to tennis to basketball, the conversation has shifted. Fans expect leagues to pay fairly. Brands want to associate with progress, not exploitation. That means the WNBA isn't just negotiating with its players, it's negotiating with public opinion. And trust me, if a lockout happens, the court of public opinion could swing heavily toward the athletes. So what happens next? There are 3 realistic scenarios. Scenario number 1, a new deal is agreed to by October 31, 2025. Both sides compromise, maybe players get a step toward revenue sharing, and the league buys time for expansion. Scenario number 2, a deadline extension is agreed to. Like 2019, they push the date back and keep negotiating. This avoids immediate chaos, but kicks the can down the road. Scenario number 3, the nuclear option, a full-on lockout. Training camps freeze, players can't play, expansion is delayed, and fans lose trust. And here's the scary part. Some insiders believe the lockout is no longer just possible, it's likely. If the WNBA pulls this off, if they reach a deal that gives players more power and pay, it could be the turning point where women's sports finally break through the financial ceiling. But if the talks collapse, if a lockout drags on into 2026, all the momentum, the Clark effect, the expansion hype, the record ratings, could vanish overnight. It's a classic showdown. Progress versus patience, money versus power, players versus owners. So what should fans look for as the deadline approaches? Public statements. If Engelbert or WNBPA leaders start ramping up rhetoric, that's a bad sign. Player activism. More shirts, more social media campaigns, maybe even sit-outs in preseason events. Media leaks. Watch ESPN, front office sports, and even player podcasts for leaked demands. It's part of the pressure game. And most importantly, do they set a meeting schedule? If negotiations don't accelerate in September, it's basically a countdown to chaos. So here we are. The WNBA is standing on the edge of history. In just a second, I'll post a link to the channel so you can follow these updates as they unfold. Will this be the moment players finally get the power and pay they deserve? Or will we look back at 2025 as the year the league's growth stalled under the weight of its own success? One thing's for sure, this isn't just another off-season story. This is the battle that could define women's basketball for a generation. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss what happens next.